The USS Franklin fits into the Prime and Kelvin Star Trek timelines perfectly. No, really, I swear it does. Just give me a few minutes and I'll explain. I know at first glance the inclusion of the USS Franklin in Star Trek Beyond seems to completely destroy a ton of canon established by UPN 65's Enterprise show.
Enterprise launches Wednesday, September 26th on UPN.
But I assure you, it doesn't. I understand, you're not stupid for thinking that it does. I initially thought that it did as well. But I promise you're not stupid. And at least I think that I'm not either. Now, I could simply end this video and the whole discussion by referencing a Trek Core interview given by Star Trek Beyond's chief editor Dylan Highsmith, in which he describes the entire backstory and creative process behind the Franklin. But where's the fun in that? And besides, nobody cares about some dumb interview with some editing jamoke. I need some Trek facts from reputable sources, like the internet! So Trekkies have two gripes with the Franklin. Its registry number, and where in the hell in the timeline it came from. So let's talk numbers.
It's all in the numbers.
I know this is going to piss some of you guys off, but the registry numbering scheme for Starfleet ships is a hot mess. Matt Jeffries, a designer who worked on the original series, stated that the 1701 numbers on the Enterprise stood for the 17th cruiser design, serial number 1. Yeah, which, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, it seems like something easy to follow in the future, as long as they don't mess it up. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, so these numbers might seem like they're in order, but the whole thing breaks down when you start comparing the number order to the ship class, such as the USS Constellation, which is a Constitution-class vessel, being 1017, which I swear was a typo. This totally contradicts Jeffrey's intent, and the clusterfuck that is this list kind of continues from there. Honestly, a lot of these registry numbers are little Easter eggs like birthdays or special dates or other stupid stuff like that, and they shouldn't be taken too literally. Now, this leads me to believe that a future canon explanation would revolve around Starfleet trying to avoid the German tank problem. Oh, you've never heard of this obscure problem from World War II I just read about 5 minutes ago? Well, read a book and stop wasting your life! Essentially, the German tank thing is about how the Allies accurately guesstimated how many tanks the Germans had and or were producing prior to the invasion of D-Day. They did this because those anal retentive Nazis used sequential serial numbers for all their parts. They literally started at 1 and went up from there. Meaning if you found a tank with serial number 580, then you know there's potentially that many tanks in play on the battlefield. There's a huge math equation that supports this methodology that I'm absolutely refusing to get into, so you guys can just suck it. But just take my word for it, or read it yourself, whatever. I'm not a cop. So by using this non-sequential numbering scheme, it would be impossible for an adversary to guesstimate your total force using this method, and it would make sense that Starfleet would want to keep their total fleet number a secret. So honestly, I think it's plausible we'll see this reasoning get shit out by some writing team in the future.
I tried, and therefore no one should criticize me.
So why was any of that important? It's because people's heads exploded all over the internet when they saw a Warp 4 ship with the registry number NX326 for the USS Franklin, which is higher than the Enterprise registry number of, 1. We need to all understand and accept that the registry numbers really don't mean much in universe. It's frustrating, but it's true. So now I'm going to answer the Franklin's registry and origin question all at once. You ready? The NX-01 Enterprise was United Earth Starfleet's first Warp 5 capable ship, hence the 01. The NX-326 Franklin was a starship created and manned by United Earth's Military Assault Command Operations, or more commonly referred to as MACO. No, I'm not going to make a MACO joke. Uh-oh, better get MACO! Just kidding, I did. Different agencies, different registry numbers. You see, before everyone broke out with full-blown non-treatable Federationitis, the United Earth government was separated into several different agencies. Starfleet was more science and research focused as opposed to the MACOs, who were more interested in combat. As Starfleet developed the Warp 4 engine, the technology undoubtedly got shopped around to the other government agencies. As Starfleet continued its research towards Warp 5, the MACOs in turn would harness the Warp 4 engine into conducting military operations. This idea of sharing technology is pretty common in today's US military, so this isn't too crazy when you think about it. Now, you might be wondering, though, if a military-esque fleet existed, why the Makos weren't around to help out more during the Enterprise show. Like, where the hell was the Franklin during the Xindi crisis? They could have really used it. Well, it's clearly shown that not only does tension exist between the Makos and Starfleet, but that the Makos possess different technology and weapons. It's very plausible that the Makos didn't want Starfleet to take over as the dominant force in Earth's government, so they withheld certain things. But honestly, I'm just making stuff up right now. I'm doing my best in here to fill the gaps. Speaking of which, no, it's not clear how many of these Mako ships were around prior to the Federation Charter being signed. No, I don't know why there weren't more ships around to defend against the Xindi. And no, it's also not clear if the Franklin got its NX registry number before or after being rolled up into Starfleet. In the end, the Franklin's registry number is random and doesn't really matter, and it fits neatly within Trek timeline if you accept the fact that the Makos produced and manned their own starships. You know, something we've never heard of before, so, writing.